Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about Smile 2. This movie came out in 2024. It is the psychological horror movie to a sequel to the first Smile movie, and that of Laura Hasn't Slept. If you've never seen Laura Hasn't Slept, I highly recommend you watch it. It's very good. You might be able to find it on Daily Motion, maybe. If not YouTube, but most likely Daily Motion. The whole Laura Hasn't Slept thing, that was like the prequel short to Smile. I forget the actress name. She's from like New Zealand or something, or Australia, Caitlin something. And basically, she was affected by the curse and couldn't smile and couldn't sleep. And then she passed it along to somebody. I forget who. And so, I've been wanting to see this movie. I've been very curious. I love the first movie. I love Laura Hasn't Slept. But honestly, I have mixed feelings about this movie. It is not my favorite. I don't even see it as a horror movie. It would have done better if it was a psychological horror and leave out the monster. But, I've always felt they should just leave out the monster anyway, and it should have been more of a spiritual type, curse type thing, similar to that of The Ring. But then again, there's like a little monster ghost girl in that, but yeah, whatever. What's interesting about this movie franchise? It reminds me a cross between The Ring and Final Destination. Final Destination in the form that, there's always a new cast every movie, and like things tend to repeat itself, and like the person from the previous movie ends up dead either like really early or off screen or something like that. And of course, Ring, because there's like a curse that goes around and you get affected and like stuff like that. But I actually found this movie to be very boring and everything. Like, especially the first half. This movie's too long. It's 2 stinking hours. And in that first hour, I was bored to tears. In the second hour, stuff started to kick up. But like when it started to pick up, I'm just kind of like, the jump scares just aren't doing it for me. Like, originally, I was never gonna watch the first movie, but I decided to check out the trailer only because I was so curious to know why the heck everybody has this big grin on their face and stuff like that, right? And so I watched the trailer and I was getting kind of bored with the trailer until that one jump scare. That is so awesome and amazing. It's where the lead actress is in her car, her sister comes up to the car, and her head topples over. I love that. So I watched the movie and everything. And so with this one, the jump scares just didn't do it for me, sadly. I appreciate them trying to be different from the first, because I do get kind of tired when there is a horror movie and they kind of just repeat themselves, you know what I'm saying? But then at that same time, it's kind of like, I don't know if going with the pop star was the best angle, because it's kind of like, it didn't feel like a horror movie. It felt like a true Hollywood story. And I'm not here to watch some pop star crash and burn. You know what I'm saying? I don't watch true Hollywood stories no more. So I did like the first movie more, with a psychiatrist trying to figure out why all this stuff is happening, as opposed to somebody just going through the motions and stuff like that. And that's basically what happens in this movie. Is just like, um Sky Riley, she goes through the motions. She, was a druggie back in the day. She cleaned herself up. She's a pop star. She's trying to rebuild her image. She gets cursed by her friend Lewis. And she has no idea why all these people are smiling at her and why she's hallucinating this and that. Then she finds a guy named Morris, I believe. And he's all like, I know what you're going through. And like, I can help you. But she's too scared and freaked out. and she doesn't know what is reality and what's a hallucination. Then, when she thinks she defeated the monster, just like in the first movie, all of a sudden the monster is still around and it affects thousands of people as opposed to just one person. And then she kills herself because that's what happens with this curse. That is the movie right then and there. And there are some things I have a problem with this movie, and there's some things that I do actually generally like about this movie. But I do not understand why people are saying this is better than the first, and like this movie is amazing and like phenomenal. Like I just don't see that. Like I just don't. And one of the reasons why I don't see that is because you really don't know what's all real in this movie or not. And basically, the entire movie itself is literally nothing more but a hallucination dream. Basically, the beginning of the movie with the cop from the last movie and the beginning part with her training and practicing and this and that is real. But then at some point in between the movie, from like when she first gets when she get after she gets infected and practicing and all that, and at some point in time then and there, everything else in this movie is basically fake. I don't even know if Morris is real, to tell you the truth. Maybe he is and maybe he's not, which means everything that led pretty much up to that club scene is real, but then the rest after that is fake. The monster is getting way more powerful, and I'll get into those a little bit later. First, let me get into some praise. Naomi Scott worked her butt off in this movie. She basically had to carry the entire movie on her own because she's basically the sole character of the entire movie. Everybody else is literally just like, side characters and stuff. She had to act, she had to sing, she had to perform, she had to dress in those Lady Gaga type outfits and everything, which she looked amazing in. She has amazing thighs and legs, and thank God they found somebody with some meat on them, because I did not want to see no toothpick and everything. And not only that, but like the only criticism I have with her acting is like when she's scared and she makes her eyes go really big because she's shocked and like scared. My only problem with that is just move your eyes around a little bit. Like, don't just keep your eyes in one spot going bigger and bigger, because I don't know, I just wanted them to kind of like move around her, kind of like something, because it just felt like she was frozen and she was just trying to make her eyes bigger and bigger, and I just didn't like that. But other than that, I thought she did a pretty solid performance. Like, I've seen her in multiple stuff in the past. I've seen her in Power Rangers. I've seen her, Power Rangers bombed at the box office like big time. Oh my God. I saw her in Aladdin, and that made a lot of money, but I hated that movie. My God, I hated that movie because I'm a huge fan of the animated movie, and that movie just didn't do it for me. I hate those Disney live action remakes and stuff. And then she was in Charlie's Angels, the rebooted movie, but I did not see that, so I don't know how it did, but it flopped and everything. And she's been in a couple of other stuff. Lemon Mouth Head or something like that. I've never seen that. And she's also stars in tons of foreign movies and stuff that a lot of people don't know about. So she's had a pretty, up and down career and everything. And for the most part, every time I've ever seen her in anything, it's always like a solid performance. Um, I'm not like a fan, but I'm also not somebody who disses her either. She's just an actress who's there, who I've seen her in, but because she's been in projects I don't like, I have a respect for her as like a good actress, but it's not like I'm like, oh, like falling over like I do with like Jenna Ortega or anything like that, because I've actually seen her in projects I actually like. So I think she's a really good, solid actress, and kudos to her for leading this entire movie on the back of her shoulders, you know what I'm saying? And not only that, but I'm also very happy that she's a woman of color who was in a horror movie and who was the lead. She's half white and half Indian, if you don't know that. And like, how often do you see a Indian person as the lead in a horror movie? I've only seen two. And one of them I reviewed a while back. You know, you just don't see that in Hollywood, in an American movie and stuff. And both those movies were American movies, but you just don't see that. So I love how she's like, breaking boundaries and stuff like that. And something that normally would go to like a white character. And also, this movie made me notice something. I never knew she had a mole by the side of her lip. Never in all the other stuff I've seen her in. And that's because they don't do close-ups of her. And I've never noticed that. But the movie really highlights it, because sometimes she darks it in with like a dark pencil. Something they used to do in Hollywood back in the day. And so, like, I never noticed that with her. And also, I was so distracted because I've never seen her hair like this before. Like, never. And I was also distracted by her long nails. I don't like long nails. I don't like the claw looking stuff or the big bulky looking ones. They just too distracting. I'm just looking like, man, those some big nails. But I gotta address this thing next. This drove me nuts. So as you see in my thumbnail, I got a bunch of Voss water bottles because this movie isn't a horror movie. It's a psychological Voss water, like 2-hour ad commercial and everything. Oh my God, the product placement was everywhere. I'm all like, when she first started drinking the water bottle, I couldn't quite see the name of it. I'm like, is that Voss? I'm like, please don't let it be it. Then I saw it, and I'm like, oh my God. It's every 5 to 10 minutes, you see a Voss water bottle and you see her drink it, but not just drink it. She's chugging it and everything. And I mean, she's just straight up like chugging it. And I'm just kind of like, Lord have mercy. I mean, yeah, they paid the bills for the movies, but my God, it didn't have to be everywhere and all the time. This is the second movie she's been in that had major product placement. The first one was Power Ranger with Krispy Kreme, and now this one with the Rock's water bottle company. And all I could think about is, man, that's the Rock's pee bottle and everything. Because he admitted that, yeah, when he's like on set making a movie, he'll take a Voss water bottle, pee in it, give it to an assistant, and have them throw it away. And all I could think about is, how did they miss the opportunity to make fun of that? She should have pissed in it, gave it to her assistant, and had him get rid of it, only for him to get pissed and be like, I ain't getting rid of this. But of course they couldn't because of two reasons. One, the Rock's water bottle company is the product placement, which means they're paying some bills for like this movie. And two, it wasn't confirmed that he was pissing in bottles at that time. That didn't actually become a thing until like this year. So last year they made the movie. And of course they couldn't make fun of him because that's his water company. Now, I looked at who was like making the movie and stuff like that. And from what I can tell, the Rock's movie company, $7, had no involvement whatsoever in this movie. So The Rock was not flipping the bill for this movie in terms of his movie company, but his water company did put a lot of product placement in there. And most of the time, you have to have permission to have like an actual company like be featured in your movie. So most likely that, Voss Water was paying the movie like some big bucks and everything. I bet you anything the Rock saw, like, I want to see my water bottle in there every 10 minutes and stuff like that. And she has to chug it and stuff like that. That's literally what she did. It was so annoying. it was so annoying, and it just kept distracting me. I'm like, my God, she's drinking water again. I wonder how it tastes. I believe it's very expensive. I don't know how much, but I hate water in water bottles. They have that chemical taste to it. And I remember one time he was advertising his water, talking about, this water is so good, it quenches your thirst and blah 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 blah. And I'm just like, when he was saying that, he didn't look real when he was saying that. It looked like he was acting because the way he said it was terrible. And you know he's a terrible actor. But I'm very disappointed in this movie because I thought for sure the cop from the previous movie was gonna be the main person in this movie. I think his name is like Cal. Maybe it's Joel. Maybe I think that's what his name. Officer Joel, I believe. He was in the first movie and everything. He was like the ex to the main character. I thought for sure he was gonna be like the person who's cursed, has to try to break the curse and everything like that. And he does try to break the curse. In a failed like attempt with these drug dealers, he ended up shooting one person too much, and then the other person got shot, so he didn't have a witness to watch a grisly death. Until Lewis is in the background and saw the whole thing. And he was happy and he was thrilled, but then he had to escape the gangsters and everything, or the drug dealers and stuff. And so I'm like, oh no, they're not gonna kill him, are they? But then he was able to escape the house. I'm like, great. But then he got hit by a huge car and he got splattered. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like, why in the world would you do this for? Why? Why would you do this? And I was just so pissed. It was the same way I was with Final Destination 2 when the main dude from the first movie died off screen and then the female character was locked in a like crazy house only for her to get out and then later on die. You know what's funny is that both these movie lead actresses have like a huge mole on their face, and there's also nepotism in both movies because Sosie Bacon is of course related to Kevin Bacon, and the dude in this movie is related to Jack Nicholson and everything. Like that's just like insane. But you know the thing is like I still just don't get why people think this movie is so much better than the first. Because this movie had a budget of about 28 million and it made about 137 million, right? But that's a whole lot less than that of the first movie. The first movie had a smaller budget of 17 million and it made 218 million. So the first one made a heck of a lot more money. So if this movie was supposed to be so much superior as people are saying, why didn't it make that much money and stuff? But you know, after like surfing the internet, Reddit, Twitter comments, YouTube comments, and this and that, it seems to be these are the type of people who enjoy this movie. It's fans of the original. Okay, I'll buy that. You know, like if they like it, then fine. Then there are people who are just fans of Naomi Scott. And so it's kind of like, oh, okay, so it's just like her fans that are like really, really liking this. But then there's another group of people I did not expect. And that's people who love pop stars and everything and their tragic lifestyles. And this is basically what this entire movie is about. It's about a pop star who screwed her life up. And you see her train, you see her interact with fans, you see her struggle, you see her stressed out, you see her talk to her management and everything. And that's what a lot of people love to see, that true Hollywood story, like reality show type crap. And so it's just kind of like, okay, so it brought in those type of fans because Naomi Scott can actually sing. And so it's like to them, they kind of like implanted their favorite pop star onto this fake character and everything. And it's just kind of like, that's not enough to make this a great movie. But then again, like I said before, this was like a psychological movie, thriller type thing. Then that would have been completely fine. It's like this movie wanted to be Black Swan, but then throw in a cursed monster type thing, you know? And Black Swan was like incredible, you know what I'm saying? But it was written and directed a heck of a lot better. Because, in the most part, just like in this movie, you don't know what's real or what's not. But in this movie, you use the excuse of, hey, there's a monster and everything. And so I just like I said before, it's a pretty good movie, but I don't think it's great by no means. Now it is like pretty fascinating, like what is real and what is not, but it drives you nuts because you don't really know, and it pisses me off because this is literally a movie where the entire runtime is basically all a dream. This movie is basically an hour and 30 minutes of a hallucination dream. I don't understand why people like that. Whenever they watch a movie and it's all a dream, they get pissed and everything. But yet, for some reason, they don't with this. And so I was really just bored in like the first hour of this movie because all I got to see was the backstory of like this drugged out, like, singer trying to get her career back and, working really hard and dancing and, just pushing it on through. And then every 5 to 10 minutes, she's drinking like, the Rock's PP water bottles and everything. And it's just like chugging and chugging and chugging the water bottles. I'm just like, what the heck am I watching? Then, it starts to like pick up a bit more because they start to get back into what this movie is supposed to be about. This whole curse thing. Now, the actor who played Lewis and everything, I recognize him from a show called Tagged. I reviewed that a long time ago. Go watch that. You can watch that on Paramount Plus, I think, if they still got it. And so, like, that's, I guess, like her former supplier or something like that, or a friend. And he's flipping out. He's basically, in some ways, like, he reminds me of the black dude from prison in the first movie. But the black dude from prison in the first movie, like I said before, give that man his flowers. That man really freaked me out into thinking that something was really coming after him, or that, when he found out that girl had that curse, he flipped out. You know what I'm saying? Here, while this dude did a really good job of freaking out, it wasn't nowhere on the level of the performance of the other dude. Oh, also, this dude is in Dead Boy Detectives on Netflix. I have yet to see that because I don't do Netflix. Now, as for her personal assistant, I remember him. That's Miles Gutierrez, Raleigh and everything. I wonder if they use his last name for her last name, I wonder. And he was like, the personal assistant, but I saw him in The Wilds season 2 where he had a much bigger performance there. Here he had a minor performance, and it's like, give him something to do, man. Like, and he was also in Agatha All Along as the boyfriend, the Wiccan, and he was a minor role in that. So it's like, I haven't looked at his profile in a while, but it's like The Wilds is really the only significant thing he has done. And it's just kind of like, give him something more to do. Now, it's rumored he might be Hulkling, but I doubt it. Only because he doesn't look like Hulkling. And also, like, he was just the boyfriend of Wiccan. And so people assume he was Hulking, but no, it's probably going to be a different character if they even bring him in, or if they don't combine the Hulk son or Hulkling together. And so, like, as she's having her hallucinations and she's freaking out because she is now cursed. But then what I didn't like was she's just going through the motions of her life, and she's not really trying to figure out what this thing is. And that's what I liked about the first one. She was actually trying to figure out what the heck this is. The people she interacted with, they was like really close and dear and near to her heart. And you can always tell what was fake hallucination in the first movie. Like, you can just like tell, because it did in a very horror movie kind of way. This one is doing it more in a psychological kind of way, which I give them, like I said before, kudos for doing and everything, because it's like, it's a bit different from the first, still hallucination, but a different kind of like vibe to it. And so, like, she doesn't know what's going on. And she knows she's completely sober and completely clean, but the people around her don't. They think she's back to her old ways. And so that is pretty good on a mental level and everything of her knowing she's sober and knowing she's clean, but don't understand why this is happening. But what would have been better if she would have tried to figure it out? If she knows she's sober and clean and she's having these bizarre hallucinations, wouldn't she try to figure out what the heck is going on with her? Now, if she was still on drugs, I can give it a pass for her not trying to figure nothing out, because she just think, oh, this is just my normal life and everything. And so, like, as everything's like happening to her, like the hallucinations with like the what was it? I think it was like her fans, and they started doing like this weird movement, crawling on the walls and everything. My only problem with that, it didn't scare me, it didn't freak me out, and it just looked like dance choreography, which that's what it was. They just hired a bunch of dancers to move like that, but they moved too perfectly, but they didn't move demonically, and it just kind of like took me out of that thing. And so she contacts her former best friend, which I thought was her former ex-girlfriend. I thought she was bi at first and everything, but no, they're just like best friends. And so she's interacting with her all throughout the movie, and everything seems legit until she ended up killing her mom, thinking it was like the demon or whatever, or a demon person, and she ended up killing her mom, ran out like the private hospital with like a gun, and she's with her best friend. Best friend like, yeah, man, I'm ride or die. I'm just like, no, something's up with that. And then it turned out, blew my mind even more, because it was a twist on a twist on a twist, that she hasn't even interacted with her best friend at all in this movie. They haven't talked to each other in years. So it's the little cursed demonic thing and everything. So I do like that twist upon twist upon twist once she gets into like the medical hospital, the private thing and everything. But then, she meets the fake Morris and everything, and he's gonna like stop her hard and put her in a freezer, and then the monster comes out. She thinks she kills him and this and that. And so then she, starts to do like the monster things coming out of her body, and it's like kind of a cool visual. I like that. I do like how it puts the hand in her mouth and stretches things out and makes the smile. And of course she kills herself. And then there are millions of people who watch. Now I'll get into that a little bit later, but first, the whole Morris thing. A lot of fans assume that Morris is going to be in the third movie, because yes, it's now been greenlit for a third movie. But the question is this dude even real? Was he ever in the movie to begin with? That I have no idea, and other people can't seem to figure out either. Some think he was real when he was in the club trying to tell her that his brother experienced this thing, and he was like a nurse or something like that, and somehow he figured out how to beat this thing. And yeah, anybody can figure out how to beat it. I mean, the dude in the prison figured it out, but he figured it out because I forget how, but he killed somebody and somebody else witnessed it, and then he no longer had visions, and then the other person did. Maybe it's something similar here, but it's just explained so fast, and it's in a club, and I could barely hear what the heck he was talking about. And so um I'm just kind of like, okay, is this dude real? Is he fake? How does he know so much exactly? You know what I'm saying? So maybe the bar scene is real. Maybe it's not. I have no idea, because the writer director dude did too good of a job to trick everybody, and that pisses me off and everything. Like, I want to know. Like, I really, really, really want to know. Like, Peter Flynn is the one who wrote and directed this, and it's just kind of like, nah, dude, you did too much of a good job. You gotta let your audience know what exactly is real and what exactly is not, and then you can play around in other scenes, but a scene like with Morris is too important. Now comes the part that's pissing a lot of fans off and confusing a lot of fans. The whole monster thing. He's a lot bigger in this movie than he was in the first, and he was big in the first. And he's growing more powerful. The thing about this demonic monster thing is that it's only, we've seen for the longest time, is only able to affect one person at a time. And until that person kills themselves and affects another. But now at the ending of this movie, she was at a live concert, and there had to have been hundreds of thousands of people there at the concert to witness all this. Not only that, but they were probably broadcasting it too, so people around the world probably saw it. But for now, let's just say the people in the audience saw it. With that said, it has now infected hundreds of thousands of people. And who knows how many seats that thing could fill. I ain't been to an arena in a long time. But it's just kind of like, how now all of a sudden it's able to affect that many people? Is it because it's stronger? That's the theory, but it's kind of like, well, why the heck didn't it affect tons of other people in the past at the same time? So I'm just going to go on the theory it's stronger now. But why wasn't it stronger before? What made it so powerful now? There's no explanation to this demonic cursed monster thing because the writer-director won't explain that much. And you really got to explain things by this time. You can't go into a sequel after having a first movie and a prequel thing to it and not give us that much explanation and everything. Like, there needs to be some type of rules to this other than you can just pass it along to somebody. You know what I'm saying? And also, what about her personal assistant and her mom? Did they witness this? Because when she was freaking out on stage, they ran back on the back of the stage to get to her. But I don't think they witnessed her killing herself and everything. And if they did, most likely they will probably now be in the third movie. But then if they do make a third movie, now the director, writer has to come up with the idea of, okay, how many people are they going to cast for the main cast for the third movie who saw this? And will their stories be interesting enough? Will it go simultaneously through character and we see what they're going through? And will this ever end, or will this thing literally just be immortal? He kind of wrote himself in a little bit of a hole. But maybe he had this all planned out in the beginning, and maybe he'll hit a banger in the third. I just hope in the third movie it's not going to be as boring and take way too long to set up everything. And I hope this time you'll be able to figure out what's an illusion and what's not and everything. And no more of the Rock's PP bottles and stuff. Like, I don't want to see that no more. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.